All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. We had a very large number of RSVPs, so people are definitely going to keep making that number climb for us. Just a few announcements about how we're going to run tonight's seminar on all about property tax exemptions. We are going to have and I'll repeat some of this as well in a little while before we really get started, but we have disabled the chat function tonight. So if you have any questions, if you could please just put things in the Q&A section. We will be going through and answering those questions after our speaker, Teresa, is finished this evening. So don't worry, we'll get to as many of those as we possibly can up until 7 p.m. I'll be monitoring those questions as we go, so we'll try to get as many in as possible. We are recording this tonight. It's going to be, it's currently on Facebook Live. It'll be permanently housed on our Facebook page and also on our website. And anyone who has signed up tonight is going to be getting an email afterwards also with a link. So you'll have that just in case. So don't worry if you miss important things or things you meant to ask, or if you came in a little bit later this evening, you'll all be getting a link as well. So I should have probably introduced myself. Sorry. I am Carla Bruni. I'm the Preservation and Resiliency Specialist with the Chicago Bungalow Association. I've taught quite a few of you, so I might have seen some of you before, or you might have seen me since I can't see you this evening. But yeah, I think without further ado, we didn't know that we were going to actually also have the Cook County Assessor, Fritz Kaegi, with us tonight, but he was kind enough to give us some of his time as well. So he's going to kick off tonight's session. I just want to tell you a little bit about Assessor Kaegi. Since assuming office in 2018, Fritz has brought fairness, ethics, and transparency to the Cook County Assessor's Office with a vision focused on operational changes, technological upgrades, and the elimination of favoritism. These changes have increased predictability in the assessment system and spurred investment in Chicago and Cook County. I can personally attest that he has made a lot of improvements that I have noticed in work. So thank you, Assessor Kaegi. Fritz was born and raised in the Hyde Park neighborhood in Chicago and still maintains close ties to the community. Fritz's wife, Rebecca, is a teacher and they live in Oak Park with their 3 children. Thank you so much once again for joining us, Assessor. I will let you take it from here.
Well, thanks so much, Carla. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight, and thanks for the opportunity, Chicago Bungalow Association, for putting this together. And I'm sorry we can't all be together in person, but at this difficult time, we're making the best of it. Us people who live in bungalows are spread pretty far apart, but it's pretty great that we can do this event together. As Carla mentioned, I grew up on the south side in Hyde Park, and I would go to Gage Park, where my babysitter was when I was a little kid. And my babysitter lived in a bungalow, so I've got real good memories of fumbling around in the front room with some of my fellow members of the Warren of kids being babysitting. So I got some good memories. And bungalows they're one of the things that make Chicago special. It's truly something that we can all be proud of. I know all of us have a special love, a special story for the bungalows that we own, or the ones that we grew up nearby, or ones that are in our neighborhood. And I just want to thank you for taking care of one of the things that makes Chicago special. And that's why we're so glad to be here today. My colleague, Teresa, she's going to be telling you lots of things that you can use that will help save you money in this tax year that are very important. Exemptions are something that everyone, there are different ways to qualify, but practically anyone who owns a bungalow as their home can use it, can claim a homeowner exemption on it, and everyone should be getting that. There's only about 70% of homeowners actually have the homeowner exemption on their home. So we want to make sure that everyone, especially people who bought one recently, is taking advantage of that. And we've worked really hard to create new systems to make sure that everyone is getting it, and that we can ask people a couple times just to make sure you don't want to have the homeowner's exemption on your home. There are many other exemptions too that people can qualify for. I hope everyone especially will focus in on the senior freeze, which is one of the most valuable exemptions that people can qualify for. I think it's particularly valuable at a time where house prices are rising especially in neighborhoods that have bungalows. And I hope you all will pay especially close attention to that if you're a senior. We've all tried to make our office, as Carla mentioned, more transparent, eliminate sources of favoritism, because the assessment system that we oversee is really about equity. It's about how we divide up the cost of government amongst ourselves, amongst all the property owners. And the standard for fairness is our share of the total market value or assessed value in an area is how we divide up the cost of government amongst us. So we work really hard to get good data, make sure we're eliminating sources of bias, make sure we have a good sense of where markets are. We will be sending out assessments in Chicago this year. It will only affect your taxes next year in 2022, in the second half of 22. So look out for your assessments. It'll be coming in the mail this year. You probably all received a COVID reduction notice at the end of last year. Since then, the market's gotten pretty strong. So we'll be sending out new assessments this year. But the exemptions that we're talking about today affect your taxes this year in 2021. So this is a very timely occasion. I hope you all will check out our website, cookcountyassessor.com. As Carla mentioned, we've worked really hard to improve it. Check out all the different features. We have lots of information, not only on exemptions, but also about the assessment of your home. If you're curious, you can look about other homes in your neighborhood. There are lots of really cool tools there that you might not have noticed before. Give it a new look, give it a try. We want to hear what you think. And I'll be joining you all for Q&A at the end here. But just again, wanted to really thank you for what you're doing, and really pleased to be with you here tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Teresa.
I would like to just give a little intro to Teresa. Thank you so much once again, Assessor Kaegi, and thanks for staying for questions afterwards. And a quick reminder to everybody, because so many more people have joined just since the last time I spoke, that we're recording this. So don't worry if you missed anything. It'll be on our Facebook page, our website, and it'll go out to everybody who signed up tonight. And also our chat feature is disabled, but you can type questions into the Q&A section. We had over 600 people RSVP. So, I would encourage you to wait until Teresa's gone through, a good portion of her talk this evening, because she's probably going to answer a lot of questions, just so we can, hit as many questions afterwards as possible. She's going to speak for about a half hour, and then we will take questions up until 7 p.m. tonight. So I would love to introduce Teresa now. She has, sorry, one moment. Teresa Chandler has worked at the Cook County Assessor's Office for 22 years. She currently serves as a community outreach strategist in the communications department. She's responsible for educating Cook County taxpayers and at the local level by facilitating assessment seminars and providing answers to questions relating to property valuations, assessment appeals, and exemptions. I also just want to give a shout out to her amazing education that involves a bachelor's in criminal justice and art and a master's degree in inner city studies, which I just thought was amazing combination. So Teresa, whenever you are ready, we would love to hear from you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Carla, for that. And before I get started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you who've made this event come together and made it possible. Angela, you, Carla, even my director, Carolyn Harris. I'm grateful that Fritz could join us in this as well. Also, everyone who has come to join us as guests, and also the Cook County Assessors, the employees who I work with every day. I just want to say thank you, because without them, I'm no one. I mean, literally, we're a team and we all work together. And I just want to say thanks to everyone, and especially the team in which I work with, which is the communications department. So with that being said, I want to say the purpose of this event tonight is to provide you with information regarding our exemptions. We have 8 of them, and the information I'm going to provide is about the exemptions that you do not have to apply for. They're going to auto renew. Okay, our exemptions are going to auto renew. Also, I want to say, which Fritz, sometimes he's very modest, but we also work with other agencies to stimulate economic growth affordable housing. We value over 1.9 million parcels throughout Cook County. And that's a lot of parcels that we value in our office. So the responsibility of our office, I'm going to get started with my PowerPoint presentation here. That's a lovely picture, and I'm going to get started.
Teresa, I'll let you know when your slide is up, okay? Just so you're sure.
Okay, that's fine. I am actually. When you, can you just.
Sure, if you might need to hover again to see that.
Yeah, I do.
And
Okay,
then,
just here.
I know it gives a lot of options. If you can see the window that has your actual slides, click that one.
Yeah, I have the hover, but here we have here. Okay. I'm sharing now. Are you able to see?
No, we can't see it now.
Okay, so let's try this.
Oh wait.
How about this? You got it?
I'm seeing that, I think your screen, not the slideshow, I don't think.
It was providing earlier.
No worries. I think we're all pretty
That's
accustomed
okay.
to these these glitches now.
Give me 1 second here. I'm just going to let Fritz talk a little bit before, and I'll get started. If Fritz could just take over for a second here.
Sure.
Oh, sure. I'm happy to. Sorry, you caught me there unaware. So Teresa, how can I pick up from here?
So you can just give them a brief information about what our office do in our office. Continue with that as well, while I try to pull up this slide again.
Okay, sure. So one of the things I've asked people about is, Fritz, you came in 2018, and I live in Chicago. Has your work in reforming the assessor's office affected me yet? And this is the first year that we're reassessing Chicago in my administration. And as I mentioned, our assessments that we do this year that we'll be sending out throughout the year will be that will affect your tax bill only in 2022. The other thing to remember that a lot of people don't know is that your assessment, any change in your assessment does not mean that you'll have the same percentage change in your tax bill, because your assessment is interconnected with other people's assessments. Your tax bill is determined by your assessed value as a share of total assessed value in the city of Chicago. And then you all split up the levy based on your share of assessed value. And if everyone's value grows while yours grows, your taxes will not go up nearly as much as your assessed value. That's one of the important things to know about our system. And so just when when assessments come out, we'll try to give you a sense of, hey, here's how much things are going up in your community, how things are going up in the city too. That's one really important thing to keep in mind. Our work so far when we've reassessed in the suburbs has generally caused homeowners' share of the total assessed value base to decrease. So it's been beneficial for homeowners, even sometimes when their assessments increase. So that's an important thing to remember. Again, what we're supposed to do with the assessor's office is be a mirror to the market. We're supposed to estimate the market value of your home, just like every other kind of property. And what we've really tried to focus on is to make sure that there aren't any distortions or unfairness or signs of bias or favoritism in the way this is done. So you have a really big interest in making sure that we're assessing big valuable buildings downtown, just as much as those owners do, because that is part of the base. If they're underrepresented as part of the assessed value base, that might mean that they're paying less than your fair share and you're picking up some of the tab for them, and that's not what we want. So when we talk about equity, we've been trying to focus on making our assessment system more fair. That is a really important part of it. But what we hope has been able to benefit you that you've been able to see is the technology. We've been able to automatically renew senior exemptions. This is something that we got passed by the General Assembly back in 2019. And it came into effect last year, just before COVID hit. We spared more than 30,000 seniors from having to fill out paperwork or come to our office in the middle of this dangerous and deadly pandemic. We got automatically renewed, as Teresa will tell you, several different other kinds of exemptions that also were convenient, and we'll tell you more about how those have automatically renewed. We want to make sure that all of you are getting all the exemptions that you deserve. That's what the event we're having today is about. And this is stuff that will affect your tax bill this year. The COVID adjustments that you might have received in your mail on your assessment last year, that will affect your tax bill in the second half of this year. And that's also when these exemptions that we're talking about today will be applied. So Teresa, does it look like you're ready now? It looks like we got the presentation up. I just want to make sure that.
Yes, I am ready. My coworker, Angelina, she's gonna share with me. She's gonna share her screen. Yes. Great.
Well, you're the star of the show right now, Teresa. So I want to hand it off to you and we'll let Angelina advance the slides, and I'm here if you need me.
Angelina, would you like to share your slide?
Yes, can you see the slide? I have it up. I'm sharing my screen.
Yes, we can see. It says Cook County Assessor's Office and then has the logo in the bottom right.
Yes, perfect.
Great.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and you can begin, Teresa, and I will control the screen.
Okay, can you go to the second slide, please? So the Cook County Assessor's Office, as Fritz stated, we're responsible for valuing over 1.9 million parcels throughout Cook County. This is not determined on an individual basis, but a mass appraisal system. It's just a way, as Fritz stated, to put fairness into the whole entire process. Not only do we process property, not only do we rather determine on a mass appraisal system, but the Cook County Assessor's Office, we administer property exemptions that may contribute to lowering your property tax bill. Now, in February, our office, we sent tens and thousands of letters to homeowners. If you receive one of these gold postcards, it stated that your homeowner's exemption or your senior exemption will auto-renew. And I'll explain about a bit of that later. Or if you received a letter from our office, it also stated that your exemptions will renew. Now, what are our exemptions? I'm going to explain that. Just hold tight. Now, what are exemptions? Exemptions, it's like a discount. They contribute to lowering your property tax bills. They reduces your equalized assessed value or your tax value of your home. Exemptions are due to apply March 31st, 2021. That's the date that you should have applied for your exemption. As I stated, many exemptions are going to auto-renew this year. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to come to our office. You don't have to apply online. They will auto-renew. On the other side of this screen is our wonderful website. As Fritz stated, we're doing wonderful things. We've made some major changes, and we have a lot of wealth of information on our website that will benefit you. Now, how do you find out which exemptions you applied for? What is your history of your exemptions, okay? Well, let me just state too, our office is closed to reduce the spread of the COVID-19. So If you would like to see and review your exemption history, you can go and just Google www.cookcountypropertyinfo.com. Once you're there, you put in either your property index number or your house number, street, and your city and your zip code, and press the button search. Now, once you're there, you can find out on the next screen, and it will look like this. It tells you your exemption history. It gives you the information in which you have applied from 2016 in this red circle, 17, 18, and 19. It tells us and you that you have applied for a specific exemption. Also, this is a great website for information, but the Cook County Assessor's Office website is phenomenal, okay? Everything in blue on this website you can click on. But most importantly, please check the exemption status history to see which exemptions you applied for last year. This is very important. Now, how is a tax bill calculated? How does these exemptions save you money? Well, first of all, your taxes count. First of all, this is an example. This is just an example. This is no one's real bill. It's an example of how your estimated market value of your home, if your home is worth $100,000 and the local tax rate is 10%. Here it shows how the equalized assessed value of the property, the homeowner's exemption, is saved. You're saved from your equalized assessed value, okay? So your house, in this example, the house is worth $100,000. We multiply it times 10%. Why do we multiply times 10%? Because that's what we apply for residential properties only, 10%. That's the assessment level. And then you have your assessed value, which is $10,000. Now, as I stated, this is just an example. And then we have the state equalizer. Now, our office has no control over the state equalizer. It comes from the IDOR, which is the Illinois Department of Revenue. Can you just go back a little bit, Angelina? One screen. So, as I stated, that comes from the state equalizers, come from the IDOR. And this is where the savings come in with your equalized assessed value. The homeowner's exemption is minus 10,000, okay? Now, if you really want to, as Fritz stated, our office is transparent. So you would take the homeowner's exemption amount, which is the 10,000, times this tax rate, which is 10%, which yours may be 6.5, 3.6. You multiply those two numbers, and that's how much your savings would be on your homeowner's exemption. Again, you take the 10,000 times your tax rate. Now, each tax rate varies, okay? So each homeowner's exemption savings will vary. Next slide. Now, here we have the second installment bill. Now, how do you determine your second installment bill? It's the yellow bill that comes from the Cook County Treasurer's Office. Our office, the Cook County Assessor's Office, we apply and administer the exemptions. The Cook County Treasurer's Office mail you your tax bill. This is a yellow tax bill. That means it's your second half. Now, why are we showing your second half? Because your exemptions are on the second half of your property tax bill, okay? Your savings, your discount. The very important information from our office is on your second installment property tax bill. And it's shown in the tax calculator, the left-hand corner of your tax bill, the very bottom left-hand corner of your property tax bill, okay? And that's where your savings will be. Now, our office, we administer, as I stated, 8 exemptions. The first exemption is your homeowner's exemption, senior exemption, your senior freeze exemption, your persons with disability exemption, the returning veterans exemption, the veteran with disability, your longtime homeowners exemption, and the home improvement exemption. We have 8 of them, okay? I'm gonna give you information, provide you information, which ones are gonna auto renew this year. You don't have to do anything, nothing, okay? Now, the homeowners exemption provides savings. All of our exemptions provide savings to homeowners if you're eligible. If you lived in your house in your principal place of residence as of January the 1st of 2020, this exemption is going to auto renew. So if you're a homeowner and you lived in this house as of January the 1st of 2020, this exemption will auto renew. There's nothing for you to do. Yes, auto renew this year, okay? The senior exemption, this is our next exemption. With this exemption, you must be 65 years old, born 1955 or prior. And yes, this exemption is also will auto renew, okay? Now, newly qualified senior, you must file your application online by March the 31st of this year, okay? Now, we also have the senior freeze exemption. The senior freeze exemption, if you meet the qualifications of a senior exemption, you meet a minimal criteria. However, if your household income is less than $65,000 or less, that's the gross income. That's you, the husband, everyone in the household, it must be $65,000 or less. You may qualify for the senior freeze exemption. Now, this exemption is also will auto renew. There's nothing to do. If you received it last year, you will receive it this year. You don't have to come down to our office because our office is closed due to the safety and health from the pandemic and for the safety of you in our office. So this exemption will automatically renew, okay? Newly qualified applicants, please apply by March the 31st. Next, we have the persons with disability exemption. This exemption also is a great savings for individuals with disabilities. Auto renewal. This exemption will also auto renew. Newly qualified applicants, they must apply by March the 31st of this month, okay? Now we have the returning veteran exemption. This exemption will not auto renew. You must apply annually. This exemption provides savings for veterans returning from active duty. And that means active duty, not just like my dad was like in World War II. I mean, active duty, okay? So this is savings. You must apply for this exemption this year. This exemption will not auto renew. In addition to all of those, we have the veteran with disability exemption. Now, this exemption provides savings for veterans who had a service-connected disability. That means that this veteran was injured in the war. Well, people's like, well, I was injured in the war, not outside shoveling snow last week or something like that, and you're a veteran, injured in the war. The key word here is service-connected. You must have a service-connected injury. In addition to that, you must have your DD-214, and also, most importantly, a letter from the Veterans Administration that states your percentage of disability, okay? You must apply by March 31st. And lastly, well, not lastly, but we also have the long-time homeowners exemption. This exemption right here, if you have lived in your house, there's 3 qualifications for this exemption. You must have lived in your home over 10 years, at least 10 years. Okay, so you'll say, yeah, do I qualify? Yes, you meet one requirement. Your household gross income must be less than $100,000. That's number 2. And also your equalized assessed value must have been going up significantly. Now, what is significantly? I can't tell you right here because of course, we're just in a PowerPoint presentation. But as I stated, there's 1.9 million parcels throughout Cook County. Only 11,000 of these parcels actually qualify. We mail individuals letters. other people who qualify. Now, how do we know that? Because of the equalized assessed value, the increase in the equalized assessed value. Now, we don't have to know your income, but we know if your equalized assessed value has been increasing. So you will automatically receive those letters if you qualify, okay? Now we have also the home improvement exemption. This exemption allows homeowners to add up to remodeling, increases market value up to $75,000, but it exempts the portions of the property taxes up to 4 years. This exemption is auto-replied, not by us, but through you building upon your permit. When you pull a permit, that builder pulls the permit, we will get that information and we will know if and how much you are increasing the portion of your home, okay? And this is called the home improvement exemption, all right? Due date is not applicable for this home improvement exemption. Now, I'm going to do a recap on the exemptions that you do not need to reapply, all right? Our office will do auto-renew this for you, which is the homeowner's exemption, the senior exemption, the senior freeze exemption, the persons with disability exemption, and the veteran with disability exemption. All of these exemptions, there's no need to apply. Don't rush down to our office. We're closed. You don't have to do anything. We've made it that easy for you, okay? Now, for new applicants, we would like for you to apply online. All of our exemptions are online, okay? Now, we have identified the newly eligible homeowners, okay, who's recently purchased a home, and we would like for you to apply online. Booklets are being mailed to taxpayers directly to the new homeowners. How do we know? We have database. Our office partnership with a database, and we can see who purchased new homes, and we have information that contains information about you as a new homeowner, okay? Our booklet will contain the senior exemption, the senior freeze exemption, and also the homeowner's exemption. And if any of these apply to you, please apply and send the form back to our office. As I stated, all of our exemptions are online, so please apply online. And we would like for you to follow us on our social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. And also our phone number is there and our website. Okay. Thank you for that, Angelina.
Great, thank you so much, Teresa. Were you finished?
Yes.
Okay, I just didn't want to jump into questions unless you had more to say. That was really clarifying. That was great. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm happy to start going through some of these questions. Certainly you have answered some of them, but because so many people are still joining, so some of it's going to be a little bit repetitive. I hope you guys don't mind out there, but you know, it's all pretty important stuff. So I guess I'll just start from the beginning and we'll get through as much as we can by 7 o'clock, if that's okay with you and Assessor Kaegi.
Sounds good.
Great, thank you. Okay, so starting from the top, if my taxes are lower, will the value of my property go down? Wait, if my taxes are lower, will the value of my property go down?
Great question. It might seem counterintuitive, but the answer is basically assessments are separate from what happens with taxes. So assessments are what we're estimating the value of your property to be. And your taxes are something different. Your taxes are what does the city of Chicago and the library and the county and the CPS, what money do they need to operate? And actually the taxes are what they are. It's about $15 billion are collected in Cook County every year, and it's regardless of how the assessments are. So whether all of our assessments were $1 or $1 bajillion, the amount of taxes that are collected is the same. And so how do our assessments matter? We use our assessments to divide up that $15 billion amongst all of us who live here in the county. And we do that on the basis of your assessed value is a share of total assessed value. So if your assessment goes down, that may not necessarily mean your tax bill would go down if everyone else's assessment goes down by the same amount. Similarly, if your assessment goes up, but everyone else's assessment goes up by the same amount, and the levy that has to be collected doesn't change, then your taxes won't change. So I wish I could tell you it's a simple answer, but it's not, and that's because our property tax system is complex. The key thing that you should always focus on as a property owner is, first of all, look at your assessed value. Does it make sense? Does it correspond to what the market is paying? And second of all, are you getting all the exemptions you deserve? And that's what the event is about here tonight. And third, if you want to be really advanced about it, see how you're assessed compared to others. And you can check, and we've really tried to put into place a lot of modeling, and make our code and models all available to the public. And so we think we're doing a pretty good job on making sure everyone is assessed the same way. But it's always possible we might have gotten a characteristic wrong about your house. So always check about, do we know the right things about your house in terms of footage, number of bedrooms and baths? You are members of the Bungalow Association, so if there have been any big changes or renovations, you might want to make sure that we have the right data about it. But that's what you can do in this case. So to the questioner, wish I could give you a simple answer, but it's complex because there are three different things going on: your assessment, how other people assess, and the taxes that the city needs to collect.
Great, thank you. Okay, should you still file an appeal if you have a senior freeze?
If you have a senior freeze, it still may be worthwhile to appeal if you think the value of your house is incorrect, because if you want to sell your house to someone else, they might not be eligible for the freeze. So you always just want to make sure that your assessment reflects the market value that you think is fair.
Great. Okay. We have someone who has received overpayment notices for back in 1997 and 98, but hasn't been able to claim those funds, and still lives in the same property and has been making payments. So her question is, who can she speak to assist her with that? Because she's having a hard time figuring that out.
So I'll take that, Fritz. She can actually go to the Cook County Treasurer's Office. The Cook County Treasurer's Office is the one who administers refunds. Okay. And especially the prior year refunds. She can actually go on their website as well, and they have information there in regards to her refunds.
And Teresa, tell them their website. Do you know it off of?
Yes, I do. It's www.cookcountitreasure.org.
Great, thank you. Okay, so how often is the disability exemption applied? Meaning, how difficult is it to get that?
So it's not difficult to apply for the disability exemption. So what they can do is they could go on our website. There's a form called the P-Tax 343 form. They will take that form to their physician. The physician fills out the form, and they just apply online once the physician fills out the form. We don't make the determination. The doctor actually fills out the data when that person has been deemed eligible for the disabled exemption. So it's very simple. Just once the doctor fills out the form, they fill it out and they just file online. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we just published a report, which you can find on our website. If you see a picture of sort of drawings of Chicago, you can go in and it gives you lots of information about the assessments that we just completed in the north suburbs, but also it has information in the back, starting on page 57, about the number of people who get different kinds of exemptions in the city. So if you really want to geek out on it, there are about 1,600 people who have the Veterans with Disabilities exemption in Cook County. About 500 of them are in the city of Chicago. And it makes a big deal on their savings. It saves them several $100s a year. So it makes a big difference, but you have to get the Veterans Administration to certify your eligibility for it. That's the key. So you want to get that process started early.
Great. And just to warn folks out there, we have about 20 minutes left and apparently 45 questions. So we're not going to be able to get through all of them most likely, but we're going to do the best we can here.
Try not to be long-winded.
Oh, yeah, no, it's, well, you often answer like 3 questions, so it's perfect. Okay, I bought my home in July 2020. Will I need to apply for a homeowner's exemption or will it auto-renew if the previous owner had the exemption applied to the house?
I can take that. So that exemption, if the prior owner had the exemption, it will definitely auto-renew.
Great, okay.
Yes.
Okay, I turned 65 this past January. Do I qualify for the senior exemption? Teresa stated 1955, but I was born 1956.
So that person, they're pre-senior. They will qualify next year. They will qualify next year for the exemption.
Okay, so it's not based on birthday, it's based on the year.
It's based on the year, exactly.
Okay.
But put a reminder in your calendar next year to apply for it, because folks who are turning 65 do have to apply for it.
If your home improvement raises the appraised home price by 100K, what happens?
So I can take that. We get information about building permits at our office, and as probably many of you who have made a home improvement decision might know, sometimes the amount that you put into a renovation doesn't translate into a dollar-for-dollar change in your market value. I can tell you that a renovation that we put in for our kitchen in our house was, maybe we didn't recover every dollar of that, but it was well worth it just for our convenience and to make the rest of my family happy. Basically what we do is we look at our modeling to see the most important drivers of the value of your house, or its location, its size in terms of square footage, year of construction, the size of the lots, and if there's a building permit that's been pulled, we might take that into account in our valuation. Or if you've got a finished basement instead of one that was not finished before, that can change it somewhat. But it basically, the short answer is dollar for dollar. It's not necessarily going to change our valuation that much. It won't change it dollar for dollar. Is what I want.
Okay. What if somebody never received the yellow card that's mailed out for exemption in the mail? Who should they contact, I guess?
Oh, so definitely. They can contact our office, actually through email, or they can phone us. We have employees answering the phones all day at 312-443-7550. They can contact our office. And also they can go on the website. If they are eligible for the exemption, they can just apply online. And we encourage for them to apply online for the exemption. The postcard only states that the exemption is auto-renewing. And as I stated, you can also contact our office to see, in fact, if it's going to auto-renew. If you received it last year, definitely you're going to auto-renew this year.
And a lot of people are taking advantage of applying for these exemptions online. It's very convenient. It's something that we put into place last year. We recommend everyone do it to save yourself trouble, and it's surprisingly easy.
And you know what? It's also mobile friendly, Fritz. So you can apply on your iPad or your cell phone as well.
Okay. All right. Joe asked about his son who was in Afghanistan in 2010, and he wondered if he could get a veteran discount.
So we have 2 veterans discount. We would like to know if he is, was he service connected? Was he injured in the war? Or is he a returning vet? So there's 2. He would need to read our criteria, which is online. So we would have to know the specifics in which his son would like to apply. If he has a service connected, for sure, definitely. Or if he was returning from the war, but we haven't had a war, so.
Okay, so they get more info, just the specifics that way. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, you might need more information on this one too, but one of our attendees had sent in documents for a disability exemption for her husband. He has a permanent ID card, which was issued prior to becoming disabled. So she'd sent in pics of the ID card, his disabilities placard, and a letter of explanation, but it was denied. But they had gotten the exemption in the past. So I'm just wondering if anything had changed, or if there was somebody that she could contact.
So definitely, she can contact our office. And she also can have her doctor fill out the form, the PTAX 343 form, as I stated before. And if not, she can just call our office at 312-443-7550. Or I'll give you my phone number, and you can give it to her, and I can look it up for her once this event is over.
I believe this is Geraldine. Geraldine, if you want to contact us at the Bungalow Association, feel free to do that as well, and we can pass on Teresa's number for you.
Yeah, and I'd really love that, Carla, because we're actually, this year, one of the bills that we're working on in the General Assembly is automatic renewal of the persons with disabilities exemption. If the Illinois Secretary of State has this information and they've certified you, we would love to be able to take that data to automatically renew that. Currently, the law doesn't allow us to do that. We don't want people to have to go through this trouble every year. You know, we've talked to so many folks with disabilities who say, this is a permanent disability that I have. This is not something that changes every year. And so know that we're working on that, and we would love to keep in touch, just to say, hey, is this an example of someone who's been deserved by having to file these documents every year?
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Okay, currently I have the homeowner exemption. I am 68 years old, but have not applied for the senior exemption. If I qualify, do I get both exemptions, homeowner and senior?
I'll take that. Oh, that's a wonderful question. Definitely, because they were born before 1955 or prior. Now, because they did not apply maybe last year or the year before, they qualified. And they are eligible if they paid the property taxes for refunds. And those are called certificate of error. So they not only would apply for this year senior exemption, but they will apply for also the 2020 and 19 as well for senior exemption certificate of error. So they apply for 2019 and 2020 certificate of error, and this year senior exemption as well.
So really get on that with the quickness, because this is
Yes.
this is a serious amount of money that you can have refunded to you. So definitely apply for that senior exemption, and then get those certificate of errors, and our office can help you with that. We have a whole section of our website that tells you what you need to do to apply for them. Teresa, if she needs to get those certificate of errors, how should she do that?
So she can go on our website. We have on our website, it states, you can just type in the box that says senior, click the box, senior exemptions, scroll down, and it says certificate of error 2016, 17, 18, 19, and she can apply from there on our website.
Great.
Okay. I know I'm sort of rapid firing at you guys. Nicely
Okay.
handling all of these amazingly well. Okay, does the senior exemption apply to a 2-flat building, or is it only for single family home?
The senior exemption applies to a 2-flat building as long as it's a residential property. Yes.
Okay, I purchased my home in September of 2020. I was not the owner in January of 2020. How do I apply for a homeowner exemption, as Section 3 asks me to affirm that I was the owner on that date? Is that clear? Is a little.
No, but well, I understand what they're saying a little bit. They're stating that they purchased the house probably mid-year, and they were a prior owner. Maybe they purchased the house in May of 2020. Now, if the prior owner had the homeowner's exemption, there's no need for this person to apply. for the homeowner's exemption this year.
Okay.
They
So
automatically, yes. Yes,
covered. Okay,
exactly.
great. Yeah, we had a similar question earlier that was a little bit different.
Yes.
Okay, should you still file the appeal if you have a senior freeze?
So I think Fritz answered that question.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So Teresa, if you just want to build on my answer,
Oh, that's fine.
my short
Okay.
answer was, if you have the senior freeze, you still want to make sure that your assessment is accurate, because if you sell your home to someone else, they might look at how your home is assessed, because they might not qualify for it, and they want to make sure that you know, their taxes will be fair and representative. So that's a good reason to do it,
And,
even if you have the freeze.
and also, that's correct, Fritz. The senior freeze is designed to offset increases. Okay. So the higher your equalized assessed value, the more your savings. So if you file an appeal and you have the senior freeze and you lower your assessed value, you lower your savings. It's the senior freeze, again, is designed to offset increases. Okay. You lower the higher your equalized assessed value, the higher your savings. The lower your value, the lower your savings. Okay. And that's how the senior freeze contributes to your property tax bill when you file an appeal.
It is the most valuable exemption that there is. So
Definitely.
folks who qualify for it, there's an income test, but if you qualify for it in this environment of rising housing prices, it's a thing you should make sure you apply for.
And I want to state one thing too. There's a myth that's around the seniors that they have to pay the money back. You don't have to pay the money back. You know, a lot of seniors, they won't apply, and they qualify. So please apply if you qualify for the senior freeze.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying that too, because I know how these rumors fly. Okay, I purchased a condo December 2020. My name is not showing as the owner at the Cook County PropertyInfo.com website. Is there anything I need to do, or just wait for the deed to be updated?
Oh, yes. Since their name is not appearing, again, that's not our office, that's the Cook County Treasurer's Office. You can actually go online on their website, and there's a form to actually put your name on your property tax bill. So definitely at the Cook County Treasurer's Office there.
Got it. Okay, my property taxes have already increased. How many times do increases go in? It seems like every billing cycle they've been increasing.
So I can take this one. If it depends on where the taxpayer lives. So, but if they live in Chicago, if they live in many other jurisdictions, a lot of jurisdictions have been increasing the levies that they have. That's the total amount of taxes that have to be collected in your area to cover their budgets. In the cases of schools, our state has not been picking up the costs. Our state does less than any other state in helping school districts to pick up their costs. So in a lot of cases, our school districts have been raising their levies to cover their costs. Sometimes they have pension deficits that they have to start making up for. That's been certainly been true in the city. After many years of the levies staying relatively flat, they had to grow it in the 2010s under Mayor Renewal to start covering these deficits. So that may explain why the tax bills have been going up, even though your assessed value may not have gone up during that time at all. I talked to a lot of people who live in the south suburbs who had their assessments going down during the housing crisis, but their bills were sometimes growing because in the places that they lived, a lot of people weren't paying taxes and they still had to keep the lights on at the school district. So this can kind of illustrate how our property tax system, it's not just, it doesn't go in lockstep with changes in your assessed value. The amount of dollars that have to be collected to keep services going is a fixed lump sum amount of dollars that grows every year. Right now, it's around $15 billion in Cook County. And then that's divided up amongst all of us by the proportion of assessed value that our property represents in all of assessed value in the area that we live in. If you live in Chicago, that would be for the city of Chicago. How can we get those levies down, the total amount, that $15 billion that's down? This is where we need to start working with the state to cover more of the cost of education. That would be the biggest thing that would reduce levies. Second biggest thing is working with the federal government to help with paying the cost of education so that we, the owners of homes and brick and mortar property, don't have to do that. And the third is us being good citizens and supervising and providing close inspection of the folks who spend these dollars, our public servants. And you can do that by being involved in the school district in your community, which is probably the biggest driver of property taxes, but also show up at meetings, ask your public servants good questions about how they're spending your property tax dollars, because that's the last thing that we can all do to keep taxes and levies down.
Okay. Okay, we have a person here whose neighbor pays less in property taxes, even though they have basically the same home, and their neighbor just has an outside deck built. So they're not sure why that would be a difference between their homes.
So the first thing that you want to look at is you can look up your address and look up their address on our website. So if you go right to our website, cookcountyassessor.com, there's an area where you can search search for assessed values. If you click the button, then you can search by address, and you can compare and you can see what we know, what we think we know about your house in terms of square feet and all that, the sizes of it, year of construction, and so on. And if your neighbor has the same amount of square feet, same kind of construction, we should be valuing it about the same as your neighbor, unless there's some other major difference. And if you're assessed in different ways, that's the kind of thing that makes for a good argument for appeal. If you don't think we have the right information about your house, maybe we think you have the same amount of square feet as your neighbor, but you actually have less, then you can tell us and say, hey, you got the characteristics of my home wrong. Or if you think that other buildings in your neighborhood don't have correct information about their characteristics, you can tell us that too. So these are all things that go into it. But the first thing is just to check to see what characteristics are we showing in our system. Are you assessed the same way? Sometimes the taxes that they pay might be different than the taxes you pay because they might have exemptions that you don't qualify for. If there's a senior there that has a senior freeze, but you're not a senior, that's one of the things that could cause your tax bill to be different, even though you own the same house.
Okay. We've only got time for one or two more, I think. So I've received advertising material stating that there are assessment services. What should they do to see if their property can be assessed? And I think, who do you think that they should contact for that?
Oh, I love this question. There are a lot of people out there who will tell you that we know a guy who can get you a special deal. And if you'll agree to sign over a third of your savings, let us take care of it. You do not need to hire a lawyer to appeal your assessment at our office. All you have to do is just, we make it very easy for you to appeal at our office. It's your money and you are the expert on your home. You know more about your home than we do. You probably know a lot more about your home than any consultant or lawyer might. So in our appeals, we render the decisions based on data. So if you think you've been assessed unfairly, you should appeal with us and just present. You can present data about your house. We make it really easy for you to do that. We want to make sure that you're treated fairly and that you save all the money that is yours.
And Fritz, they can also file online on our website, and it's free. As Fritz said, right. It's free. You don't need an attorney.
Online. It's free. It's easy. You don't even have to. You don't have to provide your own comps. So like it's not research. It doesn't even necessarily have to be research intensive. So if you don't think you've been felt fairly and you want to appeal, go ahead and do it. We've really tried hard. The way we judge, Teresa and I and my team, we judge, are we doing a good job? Is we really measure how are we doing for the average person who doesn't appeal. We're really trying to make sure that we're getting our assessments right the first time. So In the past, you might have felt like you should appeal because everyone's doing it, but appeals are actually down at our office because we've been getting it right in more cases, and people are feeling a little bit better about how we're doing it. So don't necessarily feel guilty if you haven't appealed.
All right, I think that's a good place to wrap up tonight. Again, everybody, we're going to have this is all recorded. A lot of you came a little bit later. There was a ton of information that was put out there. We didn't get to everybody's questions, but I can see some of these were answered too along the way. So so don't forget to look at the videos after on our Chicago Bungalow Association Facebook page and chicagobungalow.org. Also, you'll be getting an email with the video link to it as well. I cannot thank you enough, Assessor Kaegi, and also, of course, Teresa. You guys were wonderful. You got through a lot in an hour. So we really, really appreciate it. We know this is a huge issue and it's super important. We work with a lot of seniors too, so I knew there would be a lot of questions about that exemption. So yeah, thank you, and we hope to see you again.
Well, Carla, thanks for the opportunity. Really appreciate you. Love what you're doing. Thanks for everyone for joining us today. Teresa, you want to close us out for the assessor's office?
So yeah, I just want to say thank you all for allowing us to be here. It's really been a pleasure. I know we had a little glitch, but it went really well. I'm sure the assessor, he's very ecstatic about being here too tonight. I'm glad that we all was able, and also the participants. I'm glad that you took your time to spend with us tonight, the Cook County Assessor's Office and the Cook County Assessor's team. You could have been anywhere else, but you spent your time with us, and we truly appreciate it. Again, we thank you, Carla. We thank Angela for just hosting this event. We're so ecstatic, and we look forward to more events like this.
So everyone, come to our website if you have questions. Reach out to us. Lots of good information. We're looking forward to being with you again.
Great. Thank you. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Enjoy your dinners, especially you, Assessor Kaegi. If we didn't get you in
It's waiting for me in the next room, so thank you.
I was listening for the yell. All right. Well, thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.